Aloha class, I am Curtis Becker. I'm doing my report on the Galapagos Island, which is an archipelago. Basically, archipelago is a island chain. The Galapagos Islands is a fragile ecosystem which is formed by volcanic eruptions. It's similar to Hawaii in many aspects. Galapagos is famous for its beautiful landscape and marine life. Also in the Galapagos, the political system is run from Ecuador, which is the closest land, continental land to the Galapagos Islands. Galapagos was first discovered around the 1500s by a Spaniard, and the Galapagos Islands were unique in that they did not have any indigenous peoples living there when the Spaniards discovered them. Galapagos Islands have 18 main islands with 5 habitable islands where people have settled. There are about 25,000 citizens living in the Galapagos Islands right now. Our main focus, we're going to first focus on the general information on the Galapagos Islands. Then we're going to talk about Galapagos ecosystem, followed by the invasive species effect on the endemic species of the Galapagos Islands. And then the most famous aspect of the Galapagos Islands, which is Darwin's evolutionary theory, which came from visiting the Galapagos Islands and the discovery of the different species on each different island. Okay, so some general information on Galapagos Islands. First and foremost, it was very unique in that there were no indigenous people living on the islands when the Spaniards first came over. And before the Spaniards, the Native Americans were the first to discover the Galapagos Islands, although they did not settle on the Galapagos Islands. They maybe went there for short stays, but never actually settled. Another aspect of the Galapagos Islands was they were used mainly as a hideout for many English pirates. They would pirate the Spanish ships that were going to South America and then hide out in different places in the Galapagos Islands. And about the 19th century is when people first started settling on the 4 main islands, which now include about 25,000 people. The Galapagos ecosystem is very unique and similar to Hawaii in many aspects. There are 4 main ecosystems on the Galapagos Islands. The first and foremost are the arid lowlands, which are low sea level type lands. Second is the subtropical forest. Third is the dense forest at high elevations, which includes many trees and a lot of rain. And then last is the treeless upland, which includes ferns and grass. And then also included in the ecosystem are many endemic and introduced species, as well as a vast marine life that flourish in the Galapagos Sea. Here are some animals that are endemic to the Galapagos Islands. One of main focus that we're going to focus on is the Galapagos tortoise. Also, just to name a few, we have the marine iguana and the land iguana. So yeah, this is just a list of various animals endemic to the Galapagos Islands. We're going to focus on the endemic Galapagos tortoise, which is a very large tortoise. In fact, it's the largest tortoise in the world, largest species. They live for over 150 years, and they are unique in that each Galapagos tortoise is different depending on their environment and which island they live on. Some are bigger, some are smaller, and it's all based on survival purposes. Another focus of the Galapagos Islands is the protection efforts to protect these tortoises and make sure that they do not become extinct, which they were on the verge of becoming. Rats were introduced into the land, and began eating the eggs of the tortoises, which had a huge impact on the survival of the tortoises, and so an eradication effort was introduced, and they actually killed off all the rats. So recently there have been live births of the Galapagos tortoise, which has not been seen in close to 100 years because of the rat problem and humans' impact on the land as well. Like I said, the invasive species had a huge impact on the Galapagos tortoise, as well as other endemic species in the area. Humans' effect can be very negative on the land, and it was negative in the fact that the tortoises' land that they were used to feeding on was altered by humans building on it, and as well as the introduction of different animals such as goats, which compete for food with the Galapagos tortoise, and as I mentioned earlier, the rats that were introduced and ate the tortoise egg. Another impact was the humans overhunting and destruction of the tortoise habitat, which I vaguely mentioned earlier. Like I said, recent conservation efforts have counteracted the negative impact that the rats and humans have made on the tortoise habitat and the tortoise species well-being. Another huge impact on the ecosystem was obviously the humans. Recently, in fact, a ship was submerged and actually hit the bottom of the ocean, causing damage to the reef and the live underwater species, and caused damage to the coral and created a great concern for the Galapagos people and the marine life. Humans' impact on the ecosystem can be very negative if people aren't aware of what they're doing, and this land-ridden ship is a prime example of humans' negative impact on a fragile ecosystem like that of the Galapagos Islands. Another main aspect of Galapagos Islands and what Galapagos Islands are famous for is from Darwin and his evolutionary theory, which is based upon his visit to the Galapagos Islands. This is the islands he visited, where he found various species which have evolved into becoming beneficial for their survival, with the beak and the various sizes of the tortoise was also beneficial for survival for each tortoise on the different ecosystems and land which they were living. Right here shows the different beaks of the islands, and you have larger beaks, longer beaks, shorter beaks. It all depends on where the bird was living and the most beneficial for them to survive and hunt for food. So obviously the larger beaks were made for the birds that had to dig deeper into the ground to find food, or deeper into flowering trees and bushes for food. So in conclusion, the Galapagos Islands is a vast island chain similar to that of Hawaii, and that it was born from volcanic eruptions which formed a large island chain, and the oldest of the islands no longer exist due to erosion, and then the newer islands are still being formed from the hot spot, and then they shift according to the movement of the plates underneath them. The ecosystem in the Galapagos Islands remains fragile. There are many environmentalists and people making a huge effort to try and counteract humans' impact on the environment and ecosystem in the Galapagos Islands, and many studies have been done on the Galapagos Islands because of its fragile ecosystem. Everyone can do their part in contribute in their own micromanagement of their imprint on their ecosystem, and this includes educational efforts by environmentalists and the people of the Galapagos Islands, as well as on a worldwide level. Everyone can do their part to try and take care of the fragile ecosystem. One example of positive impact that humans can have is the increase in tortoises in the Galapagos Islands, which shows that humans can counteract or rebuild something that they have destroyed, as well as eradicate maybe a invasive species such as the rat that was introduced. So as long as we're conscious of it and make an effort to make a change, everyone can do their part and change for the good for the environment and ecosystem. Environmentalists work with citizens, and they need to have a realistic goal in order for change to occur, which the realistic goal was to eradicate the rats in the Galapagos Islands, which they did, and then from there they were able to build a habitat conducive for the tortoises to flourish and continue to have their eggs and have a lifestyle conducive for living. So this is my report on the Galapagos Islands. I hope you enjoyed and learned a little bit of the Galapagos Islands. And Galapagos is a part of Ecuador, and therefore their political system is part of Ecuador, and they use the Ecuadorian political system for all. They vote for the Ecuador president. They are basically an extension of Ecuador. Thank you. Have a good day.